Hello, Dr. Rod England coming to you from Daytona State College. Got a nice, simple, amazingly easy JavaScript to do here, but if you do, you can see some of the power that you've got with JavaScript. What I'm going to do is I'm going to extend the math class. In other words, I'm going to add new methods to the math class, new functions to the math class that didn't exist in it already, which is kind of a nice thing to do because the math class has got some good functions available to you, but hey, there's always a need for maybe some more. So we're going to make math actually have two new functions, GCD for greatest common denominator and LCM for least common multiplier. They don't already exist in the math class, but they could be some very useful functions for you. So the basic stuff that I've got here is I created a two text boxes because greatest common denominator and least common multiplier both require two numeric arguments. And what we will do here is I have one button, calculate GCD. And if you click on it, it's really simple. It gives you the GCD and the LCM. Well, that's pretty simple. I've got these functions that do that. And if you look down here at the calculate, it's not really anything tricky. I get the variable A, variable B. I call C and D. But if you notice, when I call variable C and I create variable C and D, I call math.gcd and math.lcm. Well, math doesn't already have a GCD and LCM, which we pointed out. So here's how you do this. Remember, in JavaScript, everything is an object. Everything is an object. So the math.gcd, that function can actually be defined as a function. Function requires two arguments, A and B, and then you have all of the things that go with doing the calculations of that function right there. And this is just a really straightforward iterative-based solution for the greatest common denominator. That's it. That's all there is to it. The least common multiplier actually has to make a call to the GCD function. I want to point out that that call, because the math.gcd is defined, that call is this.gcd. In other words, this is a reference back to math. So it's calling a function within its own library, and it is a function within the library. Okay. Down here, you just make the calls that you're going to use for the interface, math.gcd with the two arguments, math.lcm to the two arguments. Now, you're thinking, why didn't I just make a GCD and an LCM? Well, if you think about this, suppose you do a lot of mathematics. So you do a lot of using any one object. You want to put functions inside logical groups where they actually make sense. Otherwise, you just have this massive list of functions, and they can collide with each other. Well, GCD and LCM naturally are math functions and should naturally go within the math class. So by doing it this way, I put them there. Now, it obviously is an extension to the math class. So how do I organize this? Well, it's simple. You can make a mathextensions.js file where you put your math extensions in there. There they are, math, GCD, and LCM being one of them, but you can add other ones to them as you actually need them, and let this class grow with capability, and eventually you'll have a lot of mathematics functions that you might need to be able to use, which is kind of a nice thing to be able to do within JavaScript. So as you can see, there's a little, it's a very simple thing to do. This doesn't really require a lot of complexity, but it has a lot of power to it, this ability to extend the capabilities of the existing objects within JavaScript. In this case, we extended the math object. But we're going to have demonstrations of doing other things in the future which extend this capability. So from here on, good programming, and you'll see me using this and extending this even further. Thank you very much.